Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the 74th edition of Cinema Effect. I'm Zach, and I'm joined by my fellow Hans Zimmer appreciator, Jaden.
Hi.
And PTA's number one fanboy, aka Fitzy, aka Liam.
Hello there.
I was thinking about calling you guys by the two hostages in this movie.
But then you couldn't pronounce the names.
Absolutely not. Or mainly, I can't even remember the dude's name. It was definitely hard to pronounce either way, yeah. So couldn't remember it, couldn't pronounce it. But I thought it would have been fun. Like, I'm Sebastian, I'm keeping you guys hostage here doing the podcast. I'm gonna use this as my platform to say my message that you'll never learn what it is, you know? So which I feel like it sort of represents this podcast. No one knows what the hell any of us are saying, you know, what we're really trying to get at. Is there a thematic meaning to this podcast? I'm shrugging for everyone out there, just so you know. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Cinema Effect, the podcast where we review and talk about a different movie every single Monday. And this week, that movie is Prime Time, which was uploaded to Netflix on June 30th, 2021. It was directed by Jacob Piatek. Botched pronunciation. It is a thriller, and the synopsis says, on New Year's Eve 1999, an armed man enters a TV studio during a broadcast, takes the host hostage, and makes one demand: to give a message live on air. Jaden, Prime Time. This was your recommendation. How did you hear about the movie? How did it pique your interest, and what did you think of it?
No, it was just on my Netflix not recommended. Like in their like, you know, like how they have that new feature where like they show movies that are coming out soon. And I guess the algorithm raised their well, and it's like, here's something Polish in terms of like, fucking I'll eat that up. Yeah, so that's why I heard it and then put it forward to you guys. That'd be interesting. I think it starts off rather weak, but I think it steadily finds its footing, and I think it ends really fantastically. You know, I was kind of expecting this to ride from the start, but it only really kicked in towards the last 30 minutes. And like when the credits rolled, I didn't realize like how much like I was kind of into it, and my heart was like racing. So like I was disappointed by quite a bit of it, but like when that final third kind of kicks in, I think it executes that pretty well.
Sure, Fitzy.
Yeah, I thought it was alright. It's pretty tense. I like the use of the set and everything, and the main guy's really good. Very believable as this I don't know, guy, as this.
That's a guy.
He's very believable as this 25-year-old guy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. No, I agree with you. He's really good.
I think it's pretty good. The whole message thing, like, as the movie went on, like, I felt more and more that there wouldn't be that big speech, and there wasn't, so I don't know how I feel about it completely, but because I don't know what he could have said that would have, you know, that would have been good, but the movie was tense overall, and the last scene's pretty good as well. So
yeah, I agree with that. I thought the movie was okay. I liked it. It was well crafted. You would definitely agree with there being some good tension. It left me with the sense that, like, in terms of, I don't know how to feel about that stuff either, Fitzy. I don't know how to feel about the message and that aspect of the movie, but there's enough there, I think, for us to be able to dig into a little bit here. And even though I'm not certain that I've got a clear interpretation of the movie, it's one of those things where I think, because I can see that it appears to have depth, that it sort of does add to it. You know, it sort of does enhance the experience a little bit, even if I can't put my finger on it. Yeah, I don't know how deep it is. We'll find out, because we're going to solve the movie. We're going to solve the riddle right here now, you know. But regardless, on the most surface level, it's a perfectly watchable movie, in my opinion. I was relatively engaged. You know, it's very short, you know, all things considered. So yeah, I thought it was alright.
Is it almost real time where it's like the movie starts at like, I don't know, like what time would it be? Like 10:30, you know, New Year's Eve, and then goes through to 12, or does it start a bit earlier?
It starts a bit earlier, because I think that they share it at 8, but I'm not sure. But
okay,
that would be cool though.
Yeah, I like that idea a lot, because there was a few periods, weren't there, where it sort of implied they were sitting around there for a while, like presumably a few hours.
Yeah, I assumed to get like the police there and chairman and whatever.
The chairman. Yeah, it took forever to get there. Yeah. How did you guys watch the movie? Because this is something
In
that
Polish.
Yeah, well, this is something I didn't consider, but dubbed or subbed, it's not anime. What? I watched it subbed. Did you, Fitzy?
Yeah.
Cool.
The initial setting was on dubbed.
Yeah. It defaulted to dubbed. Yeah.
Oh, really?
So
mine
did it not for you?
No.
Oh, it's because you're European,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can understand 2% of the dialogue, so.
That's enough. Yeah. Yeah, no, mine defaulted to dubbed, and I watched it dubbed for probably 2 minutes, and I'm like, yeah, nah, I'm good on this. I don't need to see like the characters' mouths move and it not be what they're saying. I can't do that, so I definitely changed it. But all right, well, that's fine. We all experience it the same way. I don't know, man. I don't know where to start. There's if you haven't seen the movie, right? There's not a lot going on at all. You've got Sebastian, this dude. As Fitzy said, he's a 25-year-old dude who does a good job at playing a 25-year-old dude, but he is terrific. I'd seen this actor.
Yeah, I didn't know he was in that. I was surprised when I saw
in Corpus Christi, that other Polish indie film I'd seen. I had to look it up to make sure I wasn't insane, but I was pretty sure that's who it was, and it was. I think he's probably better in that other movie, but he's great anyway. Is the point? He's got a lot of screen presence. He carries the show here. And he basically goes in. I love the first shot of the film, like looking up at the TV station. And he just hijacks this TV live station. He goes in on New Year's Eve, 1999, which might have significance. It seems like a specific choice of a setting. I don't know, but I'm just throwing that out there. He goes in and he takes the TV host hostage, and he takes, I know, just some dude who works there hostage. Wasn't he? He was like the receptionist, wasn't he, or like a security guard?
Yeah.
Takes him hostage, and I don't know. So the movie sort of just takes place in this one television production area, I guess, the set. And as Fitzy mentioned, I think the movie really uses that set well. You get the geography of the place. A lot of great tension is created in the movie based on that geography, of where the window is, and the cops are up in there and how they hide. So they sort of push back up against the wall, and when the cops can't see them, and they have to use the TV cameras to, prove that they're okay, and all that stuff I think is done really well, and is just an easy way to create tension, but an effective way to do so. It's not anything too crazy or anything. But how do you guys feel about the characters of the movie, I guess? Do you have anything to say about... Let's start... I don't know. Do you have anything else to say about Sebastian? Was there any specific performance moments that stood out to you? Because I found the moment he talked to his father kind of interesting, but I know you guys can take that however you want.
I thought that was really great. I thought as the dad was in the booth, and he enunciating every syllable. I thought that was... Dude, that was, everyone was like a gunshot, just bang,
Yeah, oh wow, that's a great way to put it. Yeah.
That was good.
Sticking with Sebastian, the thing is, we don't know why he's doing this, right? We got no idea. He claims he wants to... He's doing it so he can broadcast a live message, so he can go on live TV and say something to all of Poland, apparently. But he never does this. Events ensue and he's caught, basically. He's captured before any of this can happen. And a lot of great tension comes from the fact that, the chairman, the police, basically everyone that's, the hostage negotiators to a lesser extent, but everyone on the other side of this conflict is basically doing everything they can to prevent this live broadcast from happening. And I found that quite interesting. Like the moment when I liked seeing how the hostages sort of became cooperative with him and sort of they develop a semi-relationship with him. And when... Was it the security guard who went up to the window and clearly saw that the broadcast wasn't live?
Yeah.
And it was just like, bro, this ain't happening. And then, so I like those sort of moments a lot. I liked the relationship they formed.
They felt genuine. The Gregor, him, he definitely felt like he came to like him. And there's a moment where Sebastian's talking to him, and he he like smiles at the host lady, and she's like giving him like a weird look. So I think that means that like he's like winning them over, kind of. But you can also tell that Sebastian's like not evil. He's like a nice. Well, he's not nice. Yeah, not nice for taking them hostage, but
No,
he has empathy. I mean, even after all, like the host as well, she doesn't feel like as scared as she initially was. So
yeah, he does a great job at conveying the vibe that he is just for the fifth time, but like meaning in a more meaningful way this time. Like he is just a dude. Like he's not a criminal. He's clearly been pushed to do this for vague reasons, and he sort of treats it. He feels as though he has to do it, but he sort of treats it as though like one of us were to do it. You know what I mean? It's not like I'm a career criminal that you know of. Like
you'd go to Channel 9 and hold Peter Hitchner hostage.
Well, I would never do that to Peter Hitchner. Peter Hitchner's great. I would never do that.
Sebastian is 20 in the film, isn't he?
Is he?
I think it's 20.
I think
it said that.
Okay. I remember saying 20 something as well. So I mean,
yeah,
20 something or 20.
One of them.
No,
he's 20. He's 20. Sure, whatever. He looks like he's 20. Yeah. So we're saying we should go do that now because he's 20. We're 20.
Yeah, we have to wait 20 years, obviously.
Yeah. Well, let's not piss fart around anymore. I made an effort to use that again. Yeah. Let's. All right. Why is he doing this? Let's go over the subtext of the film a little bit. Why is he holding this TV station hostage? There's clues. I think. I don't know how much you can piece together from them. How much each of them means individually, but he talks to the friend. He has a friend that he calls on the phone and gives an update to. Were there any? I don't know. I'm just going to basically go over the evidence here. We're going to do a case analysis. Was there anything you guys picked up from this conversation? Because I think the friend didn't really want him to do it. There was a bit of nervousness there, but I didn't get a lot from it. I don't know.
I think you can rule out that it was anything malicious because the fact that the gun wasn't loaded, and you can tell he wasn't the kind of man that go on live TV and deliver a manifesto.
Sure.
By the end of it, you could tell he wasn't going to do that anyway. But you could definitely tell there was like some kind of plan to it, and whether it was a dare or a cry for help, or because like throughout, like because he constantly cuts to like other TV, like just programs and like kind of tries to fill you in on like current events. So whether it's a like a cry for attention to focus on the youth and how all this happenings is destroying them or whatever, something like that. I could see that being something like that, and like he's part of like some kind of youth activist group, and like they push him to do it. I could see that happen.
Huh. Right. That makes a lot of sense.
Well, I didn't watch it a second time, but it was on in the background because my mom was watching it. I kind of like recommended it to her. So
okay.
I didn't think of anything the first time, but the second time I didn't think of reasons why he was doing it, but I kind of thought that like the film's set on the New Year's Eve of 1999. It could be a lot better, but I think the film's almost like a commentary on perception, I guess. Like there's this it's just another day really, but because it's 2000 or whatever, there's all these fears and ideas and stuff. So like I think there's something there that I don't think it was fully fleshed out, but I think that was like the the sub theme or whatever.
Because that is a very specific choice to place the movie there. They mention Y2K and these different things that are relevant to that very like to that minute in history, that became relevant, like that became irrelevant like literally a day later,
Yeah, well the thing is like everyone thought things were gonna happen. As they say, like on the TV, like, the world's gonna end. And it's kind of parallel to Sebastian in a way, I guess, because what's his message? Oh, there is no message, but
on that no message thing, and just to say it now before I think the movie is best having said no message. Had he been able to broadcast in the middle of the movie and then other events to ensue as a reaction to that, I think it would have been fine. But the fact that they left a message towards the end, they couldn't have possibly said something that would satisfy everyone because everyone would have had different perceptions. So having it
that's interesting.
Having it hidden and people can piece together in their mind what they want to piece is the best possible choice for what they did there. So at the start you mentioned it was weird or a bit iffy or whatever, but I think it was the best possible thing they can do, having left it so far to the end of the film.
That's a great point. I don't disagree with that at all. So going back a little bit, I really like the idea of, you mentioned like potentially some sort of youth movement. I didn't. That makes a lot of sense with what I was putting together, because you got the TVs. The TVs are mentioning those Y2K sort of things, the new, decade sort of thing. Or what is it? Millennium? Is that what it is? Millennium? The new millennium, all that sort of stuff. But it's also specifically tackling issues relevant to Poland, seemingly. Issues I don't really know anything about, but obviously, I don't know specifically about Poland, but obviously universal issues. They mentioned, like, there seems to be some economic issues in the country at that time, youth issues. They have multiple sections where they sort of highlight, and there's that one bit where they interview like the teenagers, and it's like pretty straightforward. They're like, "Oh, so what are you going to do now that you're, I don't know, leaving school," or whatever the hell they were talking about. And all these kids are like, "I don't know, I'm going to leave Poland, I guess." And it's like, all right, so there's clearly issues with, youth in Poland, or economic issues. I don't know anything else other than that, and other than what they're telling me, but there's definitely something to that. So then, I'm not saying like those kids on the TV were like part of a youth movement, but I think that's indicating that the youth is the focus, right? So then Sebastian could be part of something else to do with that, and then wants to deliver some sort of message to the country as a result of that, and sort of highlight their struggles of his generation in the country. That sounds like seems like a solid theory to me, But again, like, I don't know, sort of building off what you guys are saying doesn't matter, I don't know what else it could have been other than that. So I don't know. I'll probably look up a Reddit thread and it's like they've solved it. I'm like, oh, what are we doing here,
Yeah.
But that stuff is vague. Those are very deliberate, creative choices, that they take. And I think inherently in a movie like this, it's going to be, at least for a lot of people, and for me in some respects, I respect the movie, but it's going to be underwhelming when there isn't really a climax to your movie, or at least one that isn't traditional. It's obviously a choice. And as Jaden says, I don't think it's not a choice I would have changed, because then that fundamentally changes what the movie is, and it wouldn't make it, what they're trying to do, work at all, really. It would probably just fall flat otherwise. But at the same time, from an engagement perspective, not even from an engagement perspective, because I was engaged, but from a retrospective perspective of looking back at this movie, long term, but also just now, 5 days after watching it, like, am I going to remember this movie? How memorable is this movie in my brain? Does it stick with me? And the answer is not really, and I just think, if the movie had a different identity, could it have been something different? Could it have been something more for me? And I'm just trying to articulate why I don't see it as like, why I don't see it as a movie I would necessarily recommend, But if that's the sort of vague storytelling they want to go with, that's cool. I don't dislike it, but that's sort of just how I felt towards the experience overall, I think, by the end of it,
Yeah, that's fair. I think the movie does a good job of establishing its geography within the studio, because like it's a rather confined thing within the set, but then when they have to leave because of the bomb threat, it feels really grand. And although it's still contained within that one building, and you're all within that one area, it really opens it up, and like you see glimpses of outside and the crowd and whatever. And like, so for something that's so kind of centered on one location, it does feel big at points. And
yes,
I quite like the way it did that.
Definitely. And even them, like the police and the negotiators. I like some of the negotiator characters, actually. Even them, like, setting up shop across the street sort of adds another dimension to the movie. In that sense, it's like, oh wow, look. It might sound dumb, but I'm totally with you, Jane. Where it's like, oh look, now we're in this one room, but now we're over the street. Like, but it feels earned, like we spend a lot of time, or not a lot of time. We get glimpses at the hallways of the TV station and looks outside. It expands the movie. I totally agree.
They put up the interrogator and like the police and stuff. Like, one thing I didn't like about the film is how, like, obviously talking in circles is a big part of, like, I don't know, like hostage situation or whatever, like what we get into in media like quite often. But I just felt like there was too much of talking in circles and going nowhere at points. I understand they had to kind of hold it off so they can get to where they needed to, but like, it just felt like too much.
Yeah, I get that. I guess that's sort of a struggle you face when you're making a hostage movie, you know. But I don't disagree. But to their credit, I think the dialogue's pretty solid. You know,
I think it's honestly not between Sebastian and the police. It's between the negotiators and like the police chief or whoever that guy is. It's kind of their continued back and forth of, oh, he's hopeless, we're getting somewhere. It's kind of that part that you know.
Yeah, like, why are you bothering trying this way, and them getting frustrated at each other. Yeah, I get that. How'd you guys feel about the score? I thought it was pretty eerie. I thought it had a good vibe going for it, but was it a standout to you at all?
I liked it at the end with the the police kicking the door down, and not the kicking, like shooting the door down. And when that was happening, it was interesting, but I don't really remember much of the score really. But yeah.
It didn't stand out. Does that make it a 0 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10?
Well, I wouldn't know because it didn't stand out, so I can't.
So it's fair enough. It's unrated. Did you dig it, Jaden?
It didn't stand out to me either, but like, I'm not sure if they probably reused it a few times in the movie, but like in the trailer, the score is quite effective and brooding and dark and deep. And so, but that's the only thing, like, when you said score, that I can think of. So like, if they use that during the movie, great. If they didn't, I don't know. So great also. But yeah,
I've got no idea. Let's assume they. Actually, we shouldn't assume they did. We shouldn't necessarily assume that.
I think we should assume.
Okay, all right. We'll assume it then. We'll go with it. We'll assume it. Yeah.
But using Free From Desire over the credits was interesting, but I really liked it. It was really strange because it's such a break from pace.
Strange. Yes.
But like, I really enjoyed it, just because it's banger, obviously. But like, I don't know why it just felt like it suited, even though like how much it deviated from the rest of the film.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, it was weird. I don't know that song, but it stood out to me too, for sure. I was like,
it's a pretty famous dance track.
Is it? Oh yeah, because that is what it was, a total dance vibe. I was like, all right. Especially where the movie sort of ended, it felt especially strange. I really liked the final shot of the movie.
Yeah, I felt like I was tripping balls when I heard the first few keys. I was like, bullshit, no way.
I'm in this police car and it's like really grim and like literally dark, and then you get like, I feel like I'm in an 80s disco. It's crazy. Sticking with this, I feel like score, color grading, it's all about vibe, right? I don't know, there's something there. There's something to that. I like the look of the movie. It sort of has this orangey sort of look, this feel. It's mainly in the studio, right? Oh, that's not true. Like, honestly, outside on the streets at nighttime, the studio, I don't know. I disagree. I feel like the studio is blue, obviously, like literally, but I feel like the way, like, the lights and the bright studio lights always shining down on Sebastian, it sort of creates this glow sort of effect, like this orange. It's not orange. It's not orange, but it's like yellow. It's like,
Oh,
how about this? Everyone watching, listening, whatever. The thumbnail of this episode, just look at it. I'm telling you, you can see exactly what I'm talking about, because the thumbnail is actually a great representation of what I'm trying to describe what the movie looks like. It's got this orangey sort of tint to it. It's a very specific lighting choice either way, in my opinion. So I liked it. I'm just saying, and I'm so glad that for the first time, considering we don't do video, for the first time in history, I can actually have a visual example of what I'm spouting right now. That's great. Man, I wrote so few notes. There's not a lot to break down,
well,
outside of what we've done.
The reason I recommended this was because it reminded me like beyond it just being something I thought would be interesting, it reminded me of an episode of Luther in like but not in, just from like Sebastian as a character reminds me a lot of one of the season 3 criminals in Luther, and like because like if I was to show you like what they look like of like that kind of cap and then kind of like really thin, kind of almost sickly build and like pale and with the weird and like it looks like that, and I was like that piqued my interest a lot, and I was like, oh, could this be something like that? And it's interesting because like there kind of are because to spoil Luther a bit, there is a bit of a game about that episode, and like this kind of felt like there was like kind of a game about it at points, and like so like yeah, I just thought that was kind of parallel there for anyone that cares.
Sure, that's a cool comparison. What made you recommend it to your mum, Fitzy? I'm just gonna.
Well, she was watching something that, like, the girl on the bathtub, or some shit. So I had to set her on
I don't know
the
what that
track,
is, but I can imagine it.
Yeah. But I mean, I think it's tense, Yeah, maybe it is forgettable, but it's a ride. It's a bit of a ride,
That's true. That's true. I agree with that. It's a ride. It's a Some would say it's not cinema because it's a ride.
Oh yeah.
Some might say that. We talked about the father scene a little bit. I mean, there was clearly some sort of strained relationship there, but I don't know. It was a good scene.
I think that's where, because like that's kind of where we learn the most about him as a person. He had speech issues. He came to Poland, and he came to Warsaw or whatever the city was, and he disappeared after a while and whatever. So kind of in that kind of once he disappeared is kind of where you have to infer what happened to him and why he's here now. So like that's kind of where you get that, but where I got that from.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Yes, that was a solid scene. I was going to go into, I don't know, the negotiators. I mentioned them briefly, but
What do you think of the
I like
dance
some of their
montage?
exchanges.
Oh, dude, that was so funny. Like, yeah, that surprised me so much.
I think
what was that?
Like there's a bit where like Gregor like after like they kind of like get to know each other a bit more. Like Gregor was dancing on stage after he collapsed, and like they're like they're fucking around the camera.
Yeah.
Like,
That was hilarious. Yeah.
Yes. No. That is probably fairly accurate, honestly. Like, I feel like something like that would probably happen. Because you're just all losing your minds and you're just like, all right, why not? I mean, the relationship between the two hostages was kind of weird. Oh god, do you keep saying Gregor? Is that his name?
Just call him that. I think there's like another 4 Z's, but like just
Gregor's the witches. Yeah,
Gregor's yeah. And then the lady, whatever her name is,
Mira.
Yes,
easy. Yeah, I think they're kind of like the relationship between Mira and Gregor was kind of meant to expose Mira more for like just her tendencies, because at the start especially she's very self-centered in the fact that she's not doesn't recognize him after 2 years or whatever, and like it's meant to just flesh her character a tiny bit, but like I feel like the real relationship is like between Gregor and Sebastian. Like there's definitely something, like there's a degree of empathy or sympathy or recognition or something about that, because even the way he hangs about the studio after he's let out, he's reluctant to leave. He cares about him because he knows he's going to get hurt as soon as he leaves that room, so he tries to stay there a bit. I think that's really interesting, and I'm curious as to what more of that could be.
No, very well said. I totally agree with that. Yeah, there's definitely something there.
That scene you're talking about, like when the studio's dark, and also when like the music plays, when like the police are like trying to like break into the thing, I thought that was really great. Like they're great uses of the set as well. There are moments where the set actually like changes, or the environment actually shifts, kind of.
Absolutely, and yeah, that was pretty brutal actually. The way the cops sort of treated him when they got in there.
Oh yeah, that was like used his face or whatever, like put their hands in his mouth, and yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the hands in his mouth is exactly what I was thinking. Yeah, I mean, it represents the youth being silenced in Poland. But like, I don't know, there might be something there. It was it was effective either way, whatever it was.
I feel like there's something more to unpack. I think the fact that like the gun was empty, but then he points it to himself to kill himself. There's something in that situation. There's something in that action it definitely represents something. It's reflective of an idea in some way, but I don't know what that idea is. But I think it's interesting and I'd like to if the directors ever come about this podcast, please leave a comment in the YouTube section and explain to us.
That's true, because he obviously knew the gun wasn't loaded, but he still was that like I guess maybe it's a reflex. Yeah, you're right. There's something there. Yeah, I don't know. It's a bit of a frustrating one, honestly. I don't know. I feel like
I wish there was like a little bit more to grab onto, but
yeah, that sort of just is what the experience is. So,
and it's also because like not many people have seen it, so there's not much like you can read from other people to see what they've kind of dissected as well. So like, had there been a few more people that watch it, you might be able to pull some of their ideas and use them to piece together. But it's rather small.
Yeah. So. Yeah, and because there's no trivia, I can't read anything that's like lead actor Daniel borrowed from Tom Cruise's performance on a late night show, and there's something interesting like that I can read. All right, well, let's get into news chat. Benicio del Toro, no, Guillermo del Toro. The other Del Toro, the director one, is putting together a Cabinet of Curiosities Netflix anthology series. Jane, is this based on a book? Like, why is it, or is that just the name of it? Is it his concept?
No, it's just that's just his. I think it's meant to channel like like Alfred Hitchcock presents like of the past and like
Oh, okay.
Like other kind of horror anthologies presented by like these kind of recognized people. So I think it's just meant to be a bit of a love letter to that and just taking, whatever. So he's going to direct 2 episodes and he's working as a producer and a co-showrunner. So it very much is his project, but like, he's got a lot of people, other people working on it.
Okay, that's interesting. So, hang on, how many episodes are there? I have it here. But 8, perfect, thank you. And each episode's obviously very different, and then the cast list is out there for you to check out if you want. It's obviously way too expensive for me to read, but recognizable people. Yeah, it's stacked for sure. I mean, I didn't like reading these names. I'm like, I'm not saying bloody like, where's Tom Cruise right now? I can't see him, But there's definitely a ton of people from ton of shows that everyone knows, or that people definitely know from bits and bobs here and there. Like I see the dude right here from Man in the High Castle, know him, I see I'm scrolling, there's a dude from The Wire right here, there's a dude from Fargo right here, you know what I mean? So all over the shop, we're getting people, we're getting talent. Andrew Lincoln is a main one right at the top, I see, from The Walking Dead. He's not on that show anymore, is he? I don't think so.
But, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe spoilers, but I don't know. But I also see here, oh shit, I see Black Sails right here do that. Oh no, god damn it, I'm watching this show. And I also see that an episode is written by David S. Goyer, who of course co-wrote Batman Begins and The Dark Knight. So that's cool. And of course, who could forget Man of Steel? He also, who could forget?
There's also for a bit of an Aussie connection, like the woman that directed The Babadook, I think her name is Jennifer Kent. I think that's.
Oh, yeah.
Although The Babadook's arse, but Aussie representation.
Any Aussie representation is good representation. Yeah. All right, so I mean, this is a cast list. This is an episode list, so I feel like this is probably
I think
a ways away.
I think I think there's like a brief description of a few of the episodes. Is there not? Or like a thin outline of like one's like a 60s-esque like type of slow horror, and then like there's, I don't know, I thought I read that somewhere.
I haven't got anything that specific.
Okay. Maybe I'm just bullshitting.
It does say, genre defining stories. Oh, that's the most PR thing ever. But creepy, 8 equally sophisticated and sinister tales. Okay, including 2 original works by Del Toro, will be brought to life by all these people. Let's get into our highlights of the week. Jaden, what have you been watching?
Yeah, I'm going to talk about the New Mutants. Actually, I forgot that we're still doing a show.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it's a movie. It's so clearly a victim of the Disney treatment, and like it was so clearly like just fucked over due to the acquisition of Fox by Disney. Because I mean, it's evident when watching the film that there's things missing. You know, there's obvious cuts. The dialogue doesn't make sense, and it really is atrocious at points as to like how some of the things are formatted together. And like, thank God Disney Plus has this extras features, which is a great feature, and all streaming services should try and incorporate something like that. So it does allow you to watch deleted scenes, and in watching the deleted scenes alone, it pieces some things together, and it's evident there's a better movie there, you know, but it's been cut down to a length more appropriate for Disney, and some of the horror has been removed to be more appropriate for Disney. Some of the conversations have been changed to be more appropriate for Disney. It's so clearly a victim of the Disney treatment, and it's really frustrating because there is a better movie there, and there is a unique superhero kind of story there. Yeah, but like there's some good, there's a lot of bad. I think, you know, in terms of talking about like the horror that is in the film, it mainly comes from kind of the creatures that kind of appear, specifically like Anya Taylor-Joy's nightmare, because you know it's about like evoking nightmares. It's kind of like the kind of thing there, and like what, you know, different people's nightmares and whatever. And like there are decent parts, but there's just a lot of shit as well. The acting's not always great. The dialogue's kind of shitty here and there. Quite a bit more than here and there, to be honest. But like there's you know, all like the superhero movies that I want to see a director's cut of, or like an alternative cut of. This is one of them. You know, I don't you know, fuck David Ayer's Suicide Squad. I want to see the Josh Boone, I think is his name. I want to see his cut of this movie.
I'll jump in. I watched, I believe, one of Fitzy's favourite films, if I'm not mistaken.
Indeed.
The wonderfully titled The Assassination of Jesse James by the Coward Robert Ford, which it was hilarious when I read in the trivia that it was part of Brad Pitt's contract not to change the name of the movie, which is probably a fair thing to put in there because I feel like a studio would change that as soon as they possibly could. But it's a great movie, man. It was one of those things where like I wasn't bored by the movie, but it's a slower paced film, you know, it's a longer film, and I was just riding along, you know, I was with it, I was on the journey, you know, but I wouldn't say I was like enthralled by it necessarily. I was like, all right, you know, there's just some cool scenes, you know, I'm here, whatever. But the movie really plays its cards at the end, you know, it really you know, slaps you around at the end. It's like, all right, I get it. I know what you were doing now. I see it, you know, and I think it's really clever. I think it's a really interesting movie. I love when movies sort of subvert what your understanding of the movie is, and it did it in a really, really interesting, subtle way. That's not. I feel like when we talk about that often, it's for a plot reason or it's because of a twist or whatever. Like it's nothing like that. It's just through the continued development of the characters that it just shifts your perspective, and that's it. You know, there's no crazy structural thing going on. You know, it's not a M. Night Shyamalan thing by any means. But I know it was a really interesting movie. I really, really liked it by the end. I thought it was great. Does the ending really elevate the movie for you, Fitzy? I know. I feel like if I were to go back and rewatch it, I assume you would have had a similar experience. I would probably like a lot more of the journey, like with that different perspective as well. I think I would.
What are you talking about when you're saying the ending? Like how much of the ending? Like the
Well,
last couple of scenes, or like the last 20 minutes? Or?
The last 15 minutes.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't think it is a shift in perspective, really. But
whoa,
like I do love those. Yeah, some of the best parts of the film. But the film is always centered on that perspective, you know.
Yes, but you don't think there's a deliberate sort of attempt to change the audience's perception of events? That's how I took it anyway. I felt like that's the experience I had with the film personally.
I think I know what you mean, but I'm not sure.
Oh damn! Okay, damn it! I thought this was going to be like for sure, and then I wouldn't have to spoil it. But I'm not gonna spoil it. Definitely not for Jane or for anyone. But yeah, I don't know. It does. The film did a 180 for me totally in my understanding of
Oh, okay.
events.
I think
Not my understanding, my perception.
I think I might agree with you if I know what you're talking about, but
Okay.
yeah.
But it was like it's complete coincidence, but it's hilarious how to me how last week I was just talking about Manchester by the Sea. I'm like, I think I literally said, "Oh, I don't think I've ever seen a better Casey Affleck performance." It's like, oh well, I found it. So I found it a week later. But there it is. There it is. So, yeah, man, great movie. I would recommend people check it out for sure.
Cool. I'm glad someone else has seen the film now. It's nice. You know?
Have you felt lonely over there? What have you been watching this week?
I think The Girl Next Door was my highlight.
Sequel to Girl in the Bathtub?
Yeah, definitely. But like, yeah, it's not an acclaimed film really, but you know, it is a popular film. Like it's a teenage comedy, I guess, like Superbad or whatever.
I mean,
You're in, yeah. And Emil Hirsch. I don't know how you say the name.
oh sure.
Oh yeah, I saw you added a bunch of his movies to your watch list as well.
Yeah, because he's so good in the film, man. He's like this you know, high achieving high school guy, but he's like, you know, he brings this like really comedic performance. Just I don't know, a great like teenage performance, you know, clumsy teenager kind of thing. But the film's definitely not the best in script or whatever. Like you know, girl moves in next door, he wants to woo the girl, that kind of thing. There's a lot of like silly moments, but the movie is genuinely like very funny at times. Like it's kind of like Superbad in the way that there's three friends. One of them is Paul Dano. He's really funny in the film.
Wow.
I did not expect to see him there, but yeah.
You're telling me he's not a scumbag in the film?
He's a cool dude in the film.
Wow, that's range. That's range right there.
Yeah, it's range. But they go to like this, you know, this porn convention in Las Vegas, and there's definitely some funny sequences and lines and stuff, and very enjoyable film all around. There's an Elliott Smith song 4 minutes in as well, so you know I love that.
Love me some Keith Urban.
Yeah, I think that's funny too.
Elliott Smith on the voice trailer this year.
Yeah, dude, that was crazy when I saw it there. It was talking to Dua Lipa. That was crazy.
Kylie Minogue, yeah. But what was I saying? Oh yeah, great film. Not great film, but you know, good film.
You know, it's funny. I think my sister recommended that to me this week as well.
Oh yeah, it's like I was looking at the IMDb popularity on it was like really high. So I think it's like the Netflix algorithms are like pushing it a lot, and I was, you know, susceptible to that. So
nice. All right. As always, now we hand the show over to you with our question of the show. Last week we asked you, what is your favorite movie that takes place in a future that has already passed in real life? Congratulations to everyone that answered, because I did end up resorting to a Wikipedia page that had a list of films with that exact criteria, and I was very pleased I did that. Luke says, what was that, sorry?
No, same, yeah.
Oh, cool. Luke said, given the rules of the game, I won't discuss the objective answer. Hot take of Back to the Future 2. It's a hot take for Jaden, Luke. It's a hot take for Jaden. Blade Runner was a fun movie and had a nice ending that was thought-provoking and true to the original text. Harrison Ford was good in it. I haven't seen 2049, but I'll probably have to eventually. I'm also making a prediction that 2001: A Space Odyssey will be Sir Traj's favourite. Has anyone ever described Blade Runner as a fun movie?
No.
I just want to highlight that for a second. You can like Blade Runner. You know, I'll think a bit lesser of you, but that's fine. That's fine. I'm only joking. Aiden says, Mad Max Fury Road. Cool. I don't know how that's meant to, like, how far, do we know how far that's meant to be?
No, but I did have a look at Mad Max, and Mad Max is set in, like, 1980 or the early 80s. Oh, okay. And I think Thunderdome is set in 2000, so how far forward Fury Road is, I'm not sure. But
Well-
we'll allow it. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, Tom Hardy is Max, right? And Max isn't he isn't 20 years older.
Yeah, but like wasn't there like a thing about like it not being a real sequel, but it is kind of a sequel, but it's like, you know.
Right, it's one of those things.
Wait,
Yeah.
he could easily be 20 years older. Tom Hardy.
Then Mel Gibson in that other one. Really?
I reckon. Yeah.
I haven't seen them, to be clear. I'm just like I'm just picturing these posters here.
I mean, like, if we could speculate that Fury Road said in 2020, came out in 2015. If it's some old, we'll say.
Alright.
I'm saying Mel Gibson looks pretty young.
Okay.
There. And Tom Hardy, you can see him as aged-ish in that.
Okay.
Is
He's throwing out an objection.
How old is Tom Hardy? I don't know.
I don't know. He's probably do you reckon low 40s?
Yeah, probably about that.
Yeah. Andy said, in your response to the question, the movie that I can only remember watching is 1984, which was released in 1984. I don't know if that counts, but it's about dystopian 1984, which is somewhat an indication of the future. Frankly, I don't remember watching many things where it is set in the future, which is already past in real life. I commonly watch films that are either in the past, current, or really, really deep in the future.
Nice.
Andy, I did not read all your reallys, so I'm not doing it. All right. I appreciate it. Nice try, bro. Nice try. Reflected Bot wrote in and said, Terminator 2 Judgment Day is my favourite movie that was set in the future, now past. It's just a very good film in general. Well, I think...
When's Terminator set?
I believe, the present day portions on that Wikipedia article indicated it was in the 90s.
Oh, okay.
But obviously Terminator 2, have a look. Terminator 2, I believe, came out in 91, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, something like that.
I think it was only a few years in the future at the time.
Okay.
But obviously now past. So that's
actually, it makes sense because her kid's grown up, so it makes sense that there'd be a bit of a time jump.
Right. Yes, great point. Yeah. Great point. Cool. Great answers, everyone. We appreciate that. There's actually a few more of note I took from the Wikipedia page, but Fitzy, I want to know what you took from the Wikipedia page. What is your answer?
2001, definitely. Probably up there, but Jaden might use that. So I'll say 12 Monkeys, maybe. It's this time travel film, Brad Pitt, Bruce Willis. There's a pandemic in the future.
Wow.
Around 2020.
Interesting.
And basically Bruce Willis is recruited from 2050, the future, to go back and stop it. And yeah, it's a very well-made film. Very.
Have you seen any of the TV series?
No, actually, I saw the first episode of the modern one, but I didn't follow through with it. But it looks interesting.
I like the first 2 seasons. Quite good.
Oh, really?
Jaden, what is your answer?
Spooky called me out on 2001, so 2001 would be definitely an answer, but because Spooky said it, I'm not going to say it. Although I did say it. But I'm going to go back to anime because why not? And Akira is set in 2019. And,
just passed, nice.
Just passed, yeah. There's quite a few answers for the near future. Like last week when I was saying 7 years in the future would be a good time to ask this question because then children of men would qualify. But if we're talking about right now, right here, Akira.
Cool, man. Cool. I assume 2001 takes place in 2001.
I
don't know that, but I would assume that. All right. Lovely. I mean, my answer is probably A Quiet Place, which is a film set in 2020 that released in 2018.
Wow.
I felt like I was also slightly cheating, so that's why I added also Edge of Tomorrow, which is a film set in 2020, but it came out in 2014, so it was way less egregious in that sense. So yeah, I liked Edge of Tomorrow a lot. Apparently, there's that sequel that's still happening, but
who's directing? Is Doug directing?
I think Doug's back in action for that.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, anything's better than Chaos Walking. So, I mean, Hopefully,
Yeah.
he'll.
I have a
Sure.
feeling Hideo Kojima might like Chaos Walking, so you better check your words.
True, that's true. Hey, Mads is in it. That's true. But I also didn't realize that I watched Click a week and a half ago, and Click is set in 2017.
Really?
Oh,
Apparently.
really?
Yeah.
That's such a weird. Like, there's nothing to indicate that apart from the.
No, there really isn't. There really isn't.
Maybe it means that, like, because he goes to the future, so maybe it means he goes to 2017.
But he goes way further than 10 years, though. If I'm taking it as the movie is set
Oh,
contemporarily in 2007,
Sure, yeah.
you know. I hear. So then I was like, oh, maybe one of the future segments is 2017. But then why wouldn't they just say the furthest one?
Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah.
So I don't know.
That's weird.
Either
Yeah.
way, it's totally. It's very weird. That was a fun question. As always, we'd love you to submit your questions, thoughts, reviews, whatever for next week's film in the YouTube comment section, DM on Instagram, or join us on the Discord server. And the specific question we'll be asking you next week is, what is your favorite movie you've ever watched on an aeroplane? And, I'm just throwing it out there. It'd be cool if you wanted to sort of share your experience with the film on the aeroplane too, because as someone who's a lover of watching films on airplanes, there's definitely an experience there, like I love getting the soft drink like in the little plastic cup that like fits perfectly into the tray. You got the tray table that you fold out from in front of you, and there's a little circular like dent in it that fits perfectly for the cup. I love that shit, and that adds to the theater experience. Of course, much more so than watching it on a tiny screen. To David Lynch's dismay. We will be running an Instagram poll to determine the movie we review in a fortnight's time. Right now, I believe it is Fitzy and I going 1-on-1 in this particular Instagram poll. We encourage all of you, of course, to head to the Instagram stories on Cinema Effects page. About 24, 48 hours after this episode goes live, you will see it all there. So please place your vote. I will be nominating The Prestige. I thought we were talking about doing it. And I thought, you know what? Why not? Why not just throw it out there right now?
I've literally got no chance. Okay. I want to pick a more popular film now. Wow.
You can't. I don't know if that's sort of bullshit.
Okay. I'll do Catch Me If You Can.
Oh, okay.
Which is a movie I thought I've seen, but I don't think I have. So, yeah.
That's a popular film. You got a chance. Hey, we got to add Nolan to the friends list sometime. So we may as well get the ball rolling on making that happen eventually. All right, that's it for this week's episode of Cinema Effect. Thanks everyone for joining us for this interesting ride. Fitzy, what are we watching next week?
We're doing Slumdog Millionaire, which is a film, which is a popular-ish film, I guess. Although
You won Best Picture.
I did.
It is our Best Picture.
Wow. But I don't know how popular it is today, but anyway, it's on Stan and Foxtel. Check it out. Danny Boyle, check it out.
The long-anticipated return to Stan. So that's exciting. What am I talking about? Didn't we watch The Most Violent Year on Stan?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, I was going to say, I did see that 2 weeks ago.
It feels like a long time, Cool. All right. Thanks very much for talking cinema with me, guys, as always. And we'll see how much of this episode makes the final cut. We'll see you all next time. Have a great rest of your week, and goodbye.